It is so good to be back again. I like this kind of setting because this really is a conversation. So this is not going to be some sort of one-way kind of, as Tao knows from our conversations down at Regent. This is a conversation about kind of an effort to really catalyze this whole entrepreneurial ecosystem. It's amazing, the assets. You know, I came here 24 months ago now from Cleveland. And, you know, many knows the story of cities like Cleveland around the country and the whole Rust Belt area. What was beautiful about when we got here is the range of assets, the unbelievable assets here in Hampton Roads. They're hidden gems like the VLM, hidden gems like Perari that's here. We've got unbelievable universities and an amazing range of talent. We got talented people, we got great leaders. We have all the assets, we believe, necessary to make Hampton Roads an unbelievable innovation and innovative ecosystem where we can actually drive change and help diversify our region. So what I thought I'd do is kind of walk you through some pictures and slides and thoughts that I have here, and then we'll go through them, and hopefully at the end we'll leave some time for questions along the way. There are a number of different concepts I kind of want to get out here to have open conversation about, and so I'll be bouncing through a couple technologies here if I can get this to cooperate, but I'll bounce through a couple technologies to facilitate it. So since my clicker isn't working, I'm the clicker, the human clicker. So I put this up. I am with I am officially with the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center is a subsidiary of the Virginia Tech Foundation. The Virginia Tech Foundation, of course, supports the university, Virginia Tech. So you'll hear me talk about us. When I do, I'm talking about Virginia Tech CRC, which we'll call the Corporate Research Center, okay? And I'll say more about that as we go on. So I wanted to give you the context. Now that's important because for those of you associated with universities, one of the things with the structure that we have allows us to move at the speed of business. Wait a minute. For those of you in universities, understand exactly what I just said. When we talk about moving with the speed of business, when we're doing what we do and what we're talking about doing here is something that requires strategic forethought, but also execution and flawless focus on innovation. And you're going to see kind of the approach we take here. So let's get started. All right, so one of the things, I put this one up here because what we really are doing is connecting dots. So through the network, I learned about Morning Blend, and I learned about Thanks Brain. And then I met Scott. And then after meeting Scott, Scott introduced me to Jim. And then we start talking, and we usually have these 30-minute meetings that last 2.5 hours because we start going about this idea of innovation and creativity. We're standing in an amazing room right now that the innovation room, I guess, is it? Close enough? Right? All right. So you can see this idea around because environment matters. Okay? You're going to hear that a lot through what I'm talking about. Change the environment, change the assumptions. People are capable of extraordinary achievement. So if you want people to act like prisoners, build a prison. If you want people to be innovative and creative, put them in innovative and creative environments, along with innovative and creative other people, and sit back and watch what happens. So if you think about that on a micro level, kind of our approach is to think about that on a macro level. Think about it not only, and it'll resonate through everything I'm showing you. So part of this idea is connecting the dots. I mean, if you think about this network, now you have 20 other people or so in this room that you may or may not have known. I challenge you today, get to know 4 people that you didn't know before. They'll introduce you to 4 more people who will introduce you to 4 more people and watch your network grow. And that's how we get things done. So, I always put this in here now. We're in Hampton Roads, but I have to show people this because a lot of people don't really know much more about Hampton Roads. But I, as you might know, I'm a big fan of Old Dominion University. They do a lot of work in the state of the region. It's become a kind of a go-to kind of resource for what's happening, all things Hampton Roads. So in the state of the region by Vinod Agrawal and Gary Warren, I think it's Gary Warren, Wagner. This is the chart that I thought was interesting. Have you guys seen this before? Anybody seen this before? Yes. You have seen this before. Okay, so here's the deal. Prior to, if you look in the 2000s, the red line is us, Hampton Roads. When you think about the rate of our gross regional product versus what would be the gross domestic product, because we wanted to give a basis for it in the US, we've almost always outperformed the country as a whole. And then what happened? What happened right there? Everybody knows, right? The country as a whole started to experience the Great Recession. And you see that the country as a whole dipped significantly, right? But we didn't take a hit the size they did. And everybody in this room knows why, right? Who can tell me? Say again? Military. Department of Defense. Our whole federal infrastructure. We have a whole bunch of labs and other spaces that are here that are vitally important. They weren't hit as hard, but they were hit. Of course, we all know and understand this idea of sequestration, right? Sitting where we sit. But look at what happened. As the country started to rebound and recover, we haven't recovered at the rate as fast as where we used to be. So we are actually flipped from where we used to be. Now, this is interesting, but I thought this one was even more. So the question becomes, we all lost during the Great Recession, but I thought this one was even better. Because when we talk about recovery since the Great Recession, so you see the recovery, these are a percent decline from the recession peak. And now you see the trend coming out. Now many of you seen this? Has anybody seen this? This is pretty interesting. Look at what happened to the US. We all experienced the same kind of thing, us a little bit less so, but look at the rate of recovery of the US. It took, that's months after the peak. So it took somewhere between 70, 72, 75 months for recovery for US. Guess who's the red line there? You can see what's happened to the state of Virginia, and this will be updated soon, and you're going to see further recovery. But we haven't recovered yet. But there is a great need for us to diversify, and I think many of us here in Hampton Roads know that. That does not mean that we don't love the three pillars that made us success. This is not a zero-sum game. We're talking about and that and is about new businesses, entrepreneurship. So there's a great effort around growing that here, and part of what we're talking about here is the efforts around catalyzing that. Being here, you all are part of this transformation and growth that we're talking about. So here's what we're looking to do. You know, I just wanted one sentence on one white background. What are we looking to do? We really are focused on growing the region through technology. Why are we talking about technology? We could grow the region through a number of different things, right? Why this? So in having this conversation in the 20-something months I have been having it, it's a broad concept. And then Brookings came out, Dr. Bruce Katz and Brookings Institute came out with the new geography of jobs. Anybody seen that, heard of that? Okay, that's everybody's homework. Look up Dr. Katz, New Geography of Job. That's my plug for Dr. Katz and Brookings. In New Geography of Job, one of the things he talked about is, Enrico Moretti talks about this idea of for every one tech job that's created, 5 additional jobs get created. Why do we care about that? We do care about that because we want to bring back and grow the region, bring employment to the region, uplift the whole entire region. So for every tech job created, 5 additional jobs created. Check that out. So we're saying there's a ton of innovation here. There's a ton of technology in here. There's innovation and technology in this room, in this building right now. Question becomes, how do we get that technology out of our national labs, right, where it's sit? We have 2 of them sitting here. We have a bunch of entrepreneurship here. One of the beauties of my travels through Hampton Roads, what I'll say to you, is here's what's cool. Everybody in Hampton Roads has a back room. You have a back room. And what I mean by a back room, when you're a friend, they come you in and invite you to your living room, kind of like we are right now. And they say, hey, would you like to have some coffee and all this good stuff? Then they really get to know you. They put their arm around you and say, hey, Jeff, let me show you what's back through that door. Okay? So it's been amazing. I've been able to see back rooms, barnyards, sheds, basements. The technology that's here in Hampton Roads is pretty unbelievable. So the question becomes, how do we surface it? How do we get it out? How do we bring it forward? And then how do we connect it? You saw in my second slide right there, it was connecting the dots. How do we connect it? I would propose that we do that doing the kinds of things we're doing now. This is a venue for doing that kind of thing. That's how we do it. That's how we do this. So we're in competition for this because many of you notice knowledge workers who are the people creating this vibe and helping us to can work anywhere, right? I think one or two of you guys, or who's going to, you're about to go in the military or been in the military or about to travel or have somebody, I thought I heard somebody talking about that, but you could go anywhere. Smart people can go anywhere to work. So the key is we got to create an environment where smart people want to come here and smart people want to innovate right here. And we have to create an environment. So part of that is this process associated with it, which is pretty unbelievable. So they can work where they want. And this is one that really, for me, has been really cool. So I grew up in an era, and with most of my corporate experience and background, we hired the smart people. So the key was to go out and find all of you and then track you to my company. And then close the door and say, innovate, all of you. And I'm betting that this team is better than the team that's across the hall or across the city with their team. And they went out and found some people and they said, innovate, right? So that's what I'm betting. That's what I'm betting. But this is what's cool. I went to a startup event in Chicago. I only did it at that point. I was working for a big Fortune 50 company, and we were trying to be more entrepreneurial. So I went to a startup event, Chicago, in what was the year Chicago burned down? Somebody will know this, right? 18 something, I can't remember the name of it, but it's near the Merchandise Mart in Chicago, for those of you who've ever been there. We went there for a whole weekend, 56 hours, no sleep, Cocoa Pops, juice, lots of caffeine, Red Bulls, go start a business, right? That's kind of thing. And so all people of all kinds of ages and everybody with their talents. What was really cool is there were probably 500 people or so there. Not one said, hey, I got this idea. Randy, you and me gonna go do this idea. They said, hey, I got this idea. I think it's gonna be great, to 499 other people. And they were not afraid to have their idea stolen. What they were saying was, maybe Anna knows something that can help my idea. That's a very different mentality from the one I came from. So it just blew my mind. Everybody, and then you just start gravitating toward teams. You guys know how this works. So Shakir has a great idea. So I said, hey, I'm with him. And so we're now working on his out. No sleep, everybody's there, people all over the place, unbelievable experience. So my point of that is, this clustering is going to outweigh competitive issues. I need to be with smart people because I think out loud. That's why we talked about this whiteboard. I'm probably not going to write on it, Scott. But I just throw things up on the wall, and I'm hoping that one of you say, that's dumb. Why don't you do it this way, or do it that way, or add this? Everybody wants to be near technology, right? You want to be on the leading edge of technology. You got the leading edge of technology in here. We talked about making something back here, right? We want to be on the leading edge of technology. You want to be. The quality of life is a big deal. Anybody in this room that's an entrepreneur know that when you're an entrepreneur, you are all in. When I started one of my companies, I didn't sleep for 3 days. Why was that? It was inside of me. I said, just 10 more minutes. I know I'm going to solve that algorithm. 10 more minutes. That polymer blend or alloy, I know it's going to work. I know it's 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes, 10 more, a couple 10 more minutes, and I'm at like 48 hours plus. Okay, now, wait a minute. I was married. Still am, thank you. Married, with a kid, ain't been home. Working at a plant, in a lab, innovating, because I had this hot idea. What does that do with home and work-life balance, folks? Entrepreneurs know this. It gets out of balance pretty quick, right? So part of this ecosystem we're talking about is addressing these kinds of things. I need to grow. If you're not growing, you're dying. We need to always sharpen our saw. There are educators in this room right now who will tell you this whole idea of lifelong learning. We're learning forever. We can learn so much from you. You can learn from us. We can learn together. So we want to be part of this growth opportunities. And as you might imagine, continuing education. Now, why am I showing you this? Because part of this is about this framework. Now, framework. Okay, so I'm not going to go through it in detail, but what I'm going to say is driving this ecosystem, this is what's behind everything you see. So you're reading about what we're doing at Tech Center. Everything I'm talking to you about is what went into Tech Center. This is, and you'll see it manifest in all the things I'm going to show you. So one, you need three kind of assets that are driving. This comes out of the rise of the innovation districts. For those of you who haven't seen innovation districts, I'll definitely share that with you. But they're economic, they're physical, and they're networking assets, right? There are people like innovation drivers. Who are the innovation drivers? There are a number of different institutions. I put some up there just to show you, NASA and Jefferson Lab. All kinds of things. So you think about that, and then you think about cultivators, people like me and others in this room who are trying to cultivate this thing, trying to get it going, right? And you see me talk about what we do at Virginia Tech and our incubator accelerator, VT Knowledge Works. And then amenities. So those knowledge workers, why do we put in a Whole Foods? Could have been anything. That's where they want to shop. That's where they want to shop. Why is Steinmart? That's where they want to shop. DSW, that's where they want to shop. So why do we want to put those? So they're not just random choices. They're selected for the strategy. Physical assets, right? You'll see things like access to technology for the public. It's open. So part of what you saw about clustering, right? It's open. You just go in. You don't have to be a member. You just go, right? That's going to be important. Okay. This idea of micro-housing, you'll see housing going up at Tech Center. If you go out there, for example, you'll see the housing structure going, why do we do that? Again, compact structures, close to the amenities, helping with this work-life balance piece we're talking about, micro-housing so that if you really do need to be in the office, you can go to Whole Foods, get the food, drop it off, get it cooked, eat, share with you, and then go back to the office if you need to. It's all in walking distance. Last but not least, networking. This is not only networking within my industry, but this is really cool, networking across. You can't do this alone. I put that up there just so that you see, to bring together this ecosystem, we need a number of different people. I think Shakir's here from the city, whether it's Newport News or Hampton or whatever city that we're working with, you need those kind of partnerships to bring something like this forward. And for it to move at the speed of business, this is a business of private led by a W.M. Jordan company for our project, by the way. So we're moving at the speed of business. You don't go from wooded area to a complete phase one done in 18 months, you know, you're moving at the speed of business to do that. So that's pretty cool. All right, so what are we talking about? This whole idea of this ecosystem brings together three pieces: to live, innovate, and play. You guys have heard me talk about that now as we're talking about it, but this is how it manifests itself. Now this is, again, the sketch. This is the part that people know and see. If you've ever been to Oyster Point Road and Jefferson Avenue, you see a whole bunch of things going on over there. That's the play part of it. It makes sense. It started it. It went first. What you see going up next is these guys right here, which is the live piece. If you go up there, you'll see this piece almost done, these two going up right now. Then the first research park building is this one. Once you start doing it, you're en route to 11 buildings. You're en route to 11 buildings here throughout this research park. All right. What's the value prop? Really, what's the value proposition associated with what we're talking about? I would propose we're talking about four things. Affordable world-class facilities. So you heard me talk about a community, connected and collaborative. Goes back to the original concept, right? You're going to see access to capital. One, network capital, not just financial. There's human capital. How many tech geniuses want to worry about health benefits, right? You start growing your business from me and you to now me, you, and you, and now we need to get a health plan. Who wants to do that? HR, sorry for the HR people in the room. Just saying. It's just different work than working on the, you know, the additive manufacturing back here, right? So we're not just talking about financial capital, obviously we need that to do, but we're talking about also, you know, strategic and human capital. Everybody, I wish I had a quarter for everybody, every time somebody pulled me over to the side and said, hey, Jeff, you got about 4 electrical engineers? Because I need about 4 electrical engineers, you know, slide them my way, you know, that kind of thing. Human capital help you drive it. Access to technology, I broke those 3 apart. And again, the takeaway here is most people talk about R&D. You know, it kind of flows, R&D. There is R, research, basic, applied. All right, we're talking about development. Now I'm going to take it and move it forward, right? And then commercialization, getting it out into the marketplace. So I broke them apart. You know, when people think about R&D, you know, I'm thinking R&D and C because they're different companies as we meet them along their path who need different things. And then finally, this business growth services. People say, well, you know, I got this. Yeah, but what about your IP protection? When I have that conversation with people, they say, well, it's a trade secret. I say, okay, right. The Colonel's recipe is a trade secret. It's not been patented. Strategic decision. The formula for Coca-Cola has not been patented. It's a trade secret. But other items, the new devices, have been patented. Everybody knows patents run a period of time. They expire. If it's a drug, you got generics hanging out here because you know exactly how to do it. That's a strategic decision. Have you thought about that? These are the kind of conversations we're having with companies at various stages, right? Strategy, and then the most important one that I see in these back rooms that we talk about is this whole product market fit. People say, hey, Jeff, let me show you this wonderful thing. It's great, it's beautiful. I said, who's the customer? Well, I don't know, but it's the best thing ever, right? Everybody wants one of these. I'm thinking, whoa. The moment you say everybody wants one, everybody doesn't want one. Somebody may want one, but you better know who that somebody is. Do you know? No, I don't know. So you develop a product and you didn't have a market. We usually go the other way around. Let's start with a market, segmentation, targeting, and positioning, and go back, right? What problem are you solving? I had this conversation last night with a company. It's the same thing. What problem are you solving? And we're drilling this in. So you could see these 3 pieces, this whole business growth services where we can help do that. I'm going to move quickly. Okay. What this park does, it's 1 million square feet. There are 11 buildings. 1 million square feet is the vision for this thing. This guy's going first. 80,000 square feet, 3. A whole cadre of people. There'll probably be 180 companies in here, 180 at full build out, right? Different companies, a range of sectors and technology. Now, why would I do that? A range of sectors and technologies. Because businesses and industries go through cycles. We don't want to be in one of those cycles. Yeah, something may go like that, but something else may go like that. That's how the success of the VTCRC has been over 25 years, growing at 25%. How do you do that? You do it through that kind of strategies. I threw this in here because I have to remind people that what we're going for is a research park environment. So when you see things, we want to go from, why? Because I really want collisions to occur. People think I'm joking about collisions. I do really want you to run into each other on the field. Because if we hit each other enough times, I'm going to say, well, what is it you do? And you can say, man, I work at this place and we do all kinds of things. And I'm going to say, well, I do this, and then we're going to have a conversation. And then it's going to say, well, and then it'll evolve. This is what we're counting on. This is the secret sauce. I'm telling all of you. It'll evolve because they'll say, well, man, I've been struggling with, and then I'll say the magic words. Have you ever thought about, or do you know, ding, 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 ding. We just made the connections. That's kind of what this is. And that's what the idea behind that is. I talked about the first piece. The idea behind this, we're de-emphasizing real estate. For those of you who think real estate, and this is a real estate play, we do crazy things like flexible leasing in spaces. If you only want 200 square feet, you're good. Here's your number. because I don't have time to negotiate leases. Your number is a market rate. This is what it is. This is your number. This is what you need. You say, hey, I need to grow. I say, great. How about that? You say, great. I help you move. You move. We're not renegotiating leases. You take that. You hire 2 more people, and you need this. So we're not wasting time doing that, because that's not really the essence of this. The technology that we have is pretty unbelievable. You got to know where we are. We have up to 100 gigabits per second capability. That's mind-blowing, by the way, because we're on the research network, as you might know where we sit. So part of what we're talking about doing and what we're doing is connecting it. Once we build it, we'll connect it so that we can connect the entire state, and we'll connect it through businesses, through technology, and through other relationships and networks. And not just with Virginia Tech. Let me make sure I put Virginia Tech because that's our university, right? But we, in building this ecosystem, are, will, and have working with other universities in partnership, because we can't grow this alone. So, and we are open to work with other universities. It's not a Virginia Tech thing. You guys see the whole strategy. I'm showing you the whole piece. Last but not least, we talked about connected collaborative community. When we think about this, I show people this so that they're not afraid of what's to come. We have this area right here in the design. That's the first building. This is the first area. Can you imagine that? I'm talking about collisions. So don't be afraid. I mean, we're going to bring a lot of people together. Could be an event, could be a major concert. Why would I do that? And all of you in the room know exactly why I would do that, right? We would bring a major concert in there. You get a whole bunch of people in there, right in this area, on that lawn area. Collisions occur, all kinds of things happen. We should be ready for it. Okay. You guys know that it actually is going. So if you haven't been to Oyster Point in Jefferson, I invite you to come check it out. Check out P.F. Chang's, check out Whole Foods, check out DSW, check out all the other places. There's a huge gym going over there. That's going right back here. Right back over there is our first Research Park building, and all of the apartments are going down Hogan. You'll be able to see that as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.